calls?
Coach, tied 50-50 going into the fourth quarter. What do you think was the difference in that last quarter there?
Yeah, they made shots. They got rebounds. We missed shots. We didn't rebound. Our defense really in the second half let us down. And we losing way too many three-point shooters, giving them, I think they had 8 offensive rebounds in the third quarter. And so our inability to be aggressive enough and do our boxing out early and come up with a defensive stopper board. There are just too many second chances in there. And then when we had the ball around the rim in the second half, in the first half, we were 1 for, I believe, 13 on shots outside the paint or close to free throw line. We were 8 for 11 in and around the basket, and that was the difference. And in the second half, we had transition opportunities. We didn't get a free throw, we didn't get a layup, we didn't get a shot. Or we got the ball in there, and then we took an off-balance shot trying to we looked uncoordinated, honestly. And you don't get fouls. It's a low percentage shot, and you don't go get offensive rebound. And so we've got to get stronger and more determined about the shot that we're going to take. And we went small. We put Silva in there for a minute and really felt like we needed to be smaller and just pick up the pace. We were trying to, and even then, it wasn't the pace that we needed. I felt like we were just too content to sit back, and that's not what we needed to do in that, especially down the stretch there. But yeah, we didn't do a good job on defense. That's my fault. We'll have to get back. We worked on it and preparing for it, but we didn't get out to those three-point shooters. We just looked at them, and then we didn't get the kind of shots in the second half that we got in the first half.
Selma had an incredible night. What can you say of her performance?
Well, she's getting healthy now. She's getting back in better shape. She's settled down. Got a big steal for us there at the end that we needed that. Sometimes, I think she wants it so badly she'll force herself into some tough situations. And so if she just lets that game kind of come to her, I think she'll make even better decisions. And so, yeah, offensively she was solid for us tonight. She was getting to the basket, hitting some shots. And, we need some better perimeter shooting. We do. Like, it's hurting us not being able to spread that floor out and have somebody that consistently can knock that shot down. We got some of that from Tia Shelling against Wichita State. Tonight we just didn't have really anybody that was consistent out there, and we knew that, so we were trying to punch that ball into the paint. And we were trying to get scores around the rim. And then the second half, we just didn't. We took a lot of off-balance stuff around the rim.
Torrey plays the first 25-plus minutes of the game, picks up her third foul, comes out
right.
Less than a minute later at that timeout. I believe Tia hits a 3, but then they go on a 10-0 run, the largest run of the game. Was there any correlation you saw between Torrey not being in, or is it just kind of...
No, I think that's a direct relation. Torrey's just a better defender. She just is. And she anticipates. She sees what's going on. She doesn't lose her man. She rebounds. And so when we sub her out, we don't do as good of a job. And there's not a lot of players that get threes off on Torrey. And then you see players standing flat-footed, and Torrey goes up and gets the rebound. And so we need her on the floor. And she was trying to play through that. I was a little nervous about getting a quick fourth foul and not having her down the stretch. In hindsight, maybe I should just let it ride and see how it played out. So, we need not just Torrey on the floor. We need the players that are coming in to do the same type of job that she's doing on defense.
You stressed learning a lot last game. What do you think the team is learning from tonight? Well,
we talked about that, ironically, in the huddle again. Really? Like, we don't learn just in wins. We learn every day. And tonight, I think the positive thing we learned is we can take care of the ball better. So we did a better job of that. What we got to learn on the other end is shot selection and strength with the ball around the rim. And then we've got to be calm on the perimeter. We've got some players that are kind of nervous three-point shooters instead of relaxed. They shoot the ball better in practice than they do in games. And so that tells me that they're just not comfortable in the pace yet. And so we need that. And then we can still finish better on the rim. So I think we'll learn that. And then defensively, number one, defensive rebound, period. Like, that's defensive rebound. have an aggressiveness and assertiveness, a relentlessness about going after the ball and not reaching and tipping, not watching and jumping. Like, box out and go get the ball. And so we've got to do that, and then we've got to close out on the three-point shooters a lot better. And so, they laugh at me because in practice I say, if you let that three-point shooter shoot a three over you, we don't have any defense for that. We can't help you. You're out there by yourself. So if you don't close out and contest the three, even if they put the ball on the floor, well, at least we can help you on the drive. If you don't close out and contest the three, we don't have any defense. And so we're relying on those players to go all the way out and contest, especially the ones that we know from the scout that are shooters. And so we've got to learn on that defensive end, and the offensive end, we did a better job taking care of the ball, but we've got to finish around the rim.
A handful of games under your belt now, from Lindsey Wilson up until this point, where do you see the biggest area of growth for this group?
Well, like I said, I think the taking care of the ball is better. I'm not always pleased with our pace of play or our transition. It's like sometimes I think our goal is to just get across half court and stop. And we want to still see if we can be attack oriented in transition. And so we've got to get back to doing that. All our other teams were that way, and I think their mindset right now is about trying to take care of the ball. And so I understand that, but we still got to have that intact mentality and try to get some easier buckets or get to the free throw line. And then we're still not consistent with our rebounding effort on the defensive boards. And so we've had some improvements in that over recent games and even tonight, but that's not across the board. And so we've got to keep working in that area.
Obviously you want Trinity, player with some experience, good ball handler, but you don't have her. Do you feel like your guys are learning how to play without her a little bit better, and how can that benefit you in the long run?
Yeah, they have no choice but to learn, all right? And so there was real bad timing at Longwood. She gets injured at 8 o'clock, and we're playing at noon the next day, and we were still trying to figure out just what was the degree of her injury, and so that was tough. But then we had a chance to regroup and work on some things, and I think we did better. And even tonight, we did better playing without her. I think she still brings that. We've got two players that have played significant minutes previous to this year, and one of them has a hand injury now, and the other one's to leg D. And so they're learning. But even at the end, it's a lot of effort to try to tell them everything to do, even down the stretch and the end of a ball game. And it's just that awareness of game situations, where you are on the floor, what anticipating the next play. And so those are experience factors that I think they're learning now. They're tough lessons. But the hope is, the plan is, as Trinity gets healthier, this team becomes a more confident team without her. So then when we reinsert her, we should be a better team. And so, knock on some wood. So that's kind of the plan. But we still got to do our job on the defense end. She can't close out for everybody. She's sure not going to box out for everybody. And so those are things that we've got to take individual pride in. And there's still a lot of room for growth there.
Anything else? Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.